bonds into one column, which you will see on the right side of the page. Doing this simplifies the report and allows the board to quickly determine operating income more efficiently. So starting at the top of the page, we combine the asset accounts showing a total of $78 million. Beneath that is a list of the liabilities for a total of $97 million, resulting in a fund balance of negative $18 million. That is, we believe, is more due to a timing difference between the CIP and the assets, which we will show differently going forward. Further down the page is the income expense portion of the statement, with revenues coming from the capital contributions and interest earned from the bonds. Following that is a list of expenses, most of which is from the construction of the stadium. The final section is still considered a part of the income statement, but highlights the TIF revenue and debt interest payments for the bond. Please note that also the operating income of the negative 18 at the bottom of the page matches the fund balance at the top. At this section, does the board have any questions regarding this progress report?
We still have money.
Yes, plenty of it.
Good.
Okay, so going on to the next page, you will see a more condensed version of the budget. Shows the encumbrance and actual expenses with the amount remaining. Please take note on the far right side where it shows percentage used. As you can see for the stadium, there's about 76% of the budget used to date. And beneath that is the public infrastructure, which is the West 26th Street, showing a 58% completion. At this moment, does the board have any questions regarding this statement?
Actually, is it not 76% committed as opposed to completed? The encumbrance 25 is not really completed yet, right?
That's true. We do include that section to show what's coming down the pike.
Yeah.
Yeah. That concludes my presentation. Is there anything else that the board would like to know? I'll be happy to answer them. Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll just go right into item 5. Notice of special meeting needed January 8th at 10:30 a.m. regarding revisions to the covenants and restrictions for approval.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Bill Payne, City Engineer. There are some items that are related to the adjacent private development that'll be just outside of the left field wall. And so there currently are some declarations that were signed as part of the closing that discuss portions of the stadium property being set aside for either a no-build restriction in that particular area. There's some modification that needs to be made to those in order to accommodate the building as it's being designed. So it's not actually any sort of substantial change, but we'll be prepared to present that information at the January special called meeting. So that's our need in needing to call that because it's information that's needed. It's the change is needed in order for that to be in place as they're going through the permitting process, which the regular February meeting would be beyond the ideal timeline.
Okay.
So.
And Bill, this is just a slight extension of a wall that's going closer to the area of the interstate. Is that correct? It's on the interstate side?
Correct. Currently that the no-build area on the stadium property stops a little bit short of where West 26th Street is. So this will just extend it a short distance to get to the rest of that piece. And then the design of the building and the way that it lays out on the property, there's a portion of the building much further up above that will have a small portion that will extend over that no-build area, but the declaration does not allow for any air rights to the building for that protrusion to come across the property line. So that'll be the discussion.
Okay.
And we'll have drawings, maps, and other things to be able to have that ready for discussion, but we were forecasting that we're going to need that, so that's why we wanted to go ahead and get on the board's agenda for that.
Okay, so it's just a request for like slightly additional land?
It actually does not change the land. It just puts in place, it'll just put into place an extension of some agreements that have already been made between New City Properties and the Sports Authority, essentially just to extend that slightly and just to make a slight modification to allow an overhang on the upper floors. If you technically looked at it, it would be there, but on ground level, you won't notice it. At the bottom, so it doesn't affect anything with the usage of the stadium or anything that's related to our ability, your ability to be able to have a stadium and serve all the necessary purposes that it needs. It just is related to that very specific piece. But it does affect the property, but it doesn't change any property lines.
And aside from us, has everyone else approved this that needs to approve it?
This was actually brought to us by New City Properties, so this is actually something that they requested, and we've been working with them to review. So we've seen some preliminary documents of some of the draft documents, and the final ones will be prepared and ready for the January meeting.
Okay.
So is this just a technicality?
It is. I think in the beginning, at the time of closing, probably the best way to describe it is this building was a concept on their side, on their portion, while we were a lot further along with our design. They had not yet started theirs until after the closing process. And so as they've gotten into the design, these are just some minor details that their building design necessitates some minor adjustment to what was already anticipated at the time of closing.
Okay.
Bill, any issues at this point in time that the property won't be completed here in June of 2026? I guess that's the issue on here. Can they be able to get in to be able to have a ball game there?
Well, first pitch will be April the 14th.
Excuse me. All
We
right.
will,
I missed the last meeting. I missed that.
we will absolutely be ready. We will absolutely be ready and are anticipating that we're going to host first pitch, and there's not going to be any problems with being substantially complete.
Okay, so this detail won't have any effect on that?
No, sir, this actually is a detail that does not affect the stadium construction at all. This only is to allow some permitting for New City's private development on the adjacent lot.
Okay,
And as I said, whenever we're able to, we'll have those drawings along with the amended declaration documents for the January meeting. We'll be able to provide you some maps, be able to describe it in much better detail. I understand I'm using words to describe a very visual thing, so thanks for bearing with me on that.
This may be a question for Rich, but will the Sports Authority Board be able to throw the first pitch?
That is a great question for Rich Mazinga. He's not here today, but I will certainly let him know you're interested.
Let him know we're interested.
Yes, sir.
You might be able to do that.
yes, we do.
That's right.
Maybe we should have negotiated that prior to the approval of the contract.
You had me scared there for a minute on the
Oh, yeah.
June.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Yep. Wanted to make sure I knew the date.
Yes.
We'll be there on January 8th. We can do that.
Okay.
Yep.
We appreciate that.
Yep.
And we do have some information. I apologize, I don't have the agenda pulled up right in front of me, but I do have some construction slide updates as well if
Oh, yeah, please.
if you all want to see those. So, while he gets those pulled up, so there's been quite a bit of continued progress out there on the site. As we've said in all of our meetings, the site changes daily. And so there's a lot of things that happen. I know a couple of months ago at your last meeting, after that, you all were out there and did a site tour. Since that time, work has begun to install the field. And so that work is ongoing. We've also finished painting all of the interior steel beams. Oh, I hit the wrong button. There we go. We've also installed the standing seam roof and the siding that's along the powerhouse the pattern shop and the third base buildings, and installing handrails along both the suite and the upper suite level balconies. So those have continued. Elevator installation has started in multiple buildings. There are 5 elevators between all of the buildings, so those are all in various stages as those crews work their way across. And there's also what you see in this photograph is where the team store area is underway. That preparation has already begun on the site. That's actually going to be a modular facility, and so that fabrication has already started off-site as well. On the team level, all the finishes and the epoxy floor finishes are ongoing, and the concourse level finishes have begun. When we were out there on the site, you may recall out on the left field side, we still had field access where we were going through a portion of that where it was the dirt had not been filled in all the way around. We've now closed in that retaining wall along the backside of the left field wall and begun to backfill that with that on-site material, which is part of the brownfield agreement. And we've also begun installation of the stacked slab walls along the perimeter of the concourse. Those stacked slabs, just as a highlight for you all, that is a reuse of the concrete that was actually on the site prior. And so rather than it just being rubblized and hauled away, as happens in most demolitions, it was actually saw cut and has been specifically integrated into the design to be used as these stacked walls that are out there. So that's been a great thing to see out there on the site, actually seeing that reused material. So from a spending standpoint on our side, I know this is just to give some additional context of what Paul was reporting on overall. Our DBE participation actually is, we had a 30% goal. We're currently at 22.6. That's unchanged from the last report. We still are hopeful to be able to gain some more, but our opportunities for that are getting smaller and smaller because there's just less remaining contract work to be there. But we are continuing to engage with EMJ about that where those opportunities still exist. For our spend report, and my apologies, the slide says August spend report, but this is actually for December, so apologize for the title there. But as you can see, the dash line was showing our cash flow estimates for the project. We had been lagging a little bit behind where we had anticipated we would be, even though the project was not behind schedule. Some of the cash flow was a little bit lower, which meant we were delivering things that needed to be delivered at a slightly lower cost. We're now right at or slightly just above, but we're still continuing to monitor that to track towards total completion to be within budget. So still lots of pieces that are out there moving that we continue to monitor on that, but we have now closed up that gap, and as you can see, we're tracking almost right on top of that cash flow estimate. This portion, and so the last slide was about our bond cash flows. This is to provide you an update on where things stand with both the West 26th infrastructure agreement, which is the 3 columns that you see on the left. So that's the general fund, the stormwater funds, and the wastewater funds that were provided by the city to the Sports Authority. So we're about $1.7 million spent or reimbursed back to the property owner for their work so far. Out of the general fund, almost completely 100% on the stormwater dollars, and we are at 100% on the wastewater dollars that have been expended so far. That work is continuing, and as those draw requests continue to come in, they are performing that work and then submitting those draw requests for reimbursement after completion of that work. But things continue to be on track there. And then the right-hand column is the site preparation, which is the $10 million worth of preparing the site, dealing with the materials that were on site, foundry sands and other materials that were there, And as of today's meeting, there's been just right at $6.7 million of approved draws related to that, with a remaining $3.3 million for site preparation. In the past, this slide had a fifth column on it, which had to do with team expenditures. We've broken that out, and we did that to be able to help provide a little bit more visibility into the way that the team supplied items are coming along. Presently, there have been $5.1 million in approved draws for dollars actually expended by the team. There's another $5.7 million of the term RNs up there as request notices. So those are items that they have quotes on, that they have obligated and have moved forward, but have not yet completed the payments and submitted those requests. And then there's about $8.2 million of items that, while they may be working towards negotiating quotes and contracts, or there are things like office furnishings and other things that'll come at the very end, those things are being negotiated, but they've not finalized those quotes and submitted for our review and approval in order to get to the request notice stage, so that they can issue those contracts out. But we are continuing to work with them well, so we feel like all of this work from the last slide and this are all on track to get us delivered to April 14th. Be happy to answer any questions that the board may have. In the past, I know a lot of times we've tried putting a drone video or something in here. Those have been a little more complicated to actually make them work, so I did not include one of those in the update this time. So, but be glad to answer any questions the board may have about any of those things that we've covered or anything else related to the project. Actually, I will, it wasn't specifically on the slide, but just by way of letting you all know, we have continued to have meetings between our transportation folks and the city's contractor that is working on the signalization timing and optimization in terms of making sure that they have the information related to how the stadium itself is going to function. The city also has a special events committee that works on what the traffic patterns look like when special events occur, such as baseball games or other things that may happen here in the stadium. We are continuing to have those and are engaged with the team on that. So I wanted you all to know that those things are continuing, and we'll be able to continue to get to a point where we can provide some more specific details as we get further. A lot of things are being worked on, and there's multiple fronts that are happening, but I wanted to make sure that the board was aware of that, because I know that certainly is of great interest to the board as well. So happy to answer any questions.
I've got a question, just a clarification of where the team shop or whatever, the building,
The team store.
team store, thank you. It's next to what they call the shed? Is that the correct name for that long building?
It is.
That's not part of the stadium, what we're responsible for.
Correct. Probably, let me see, there's probably a photograph here that may help with the visual on that a little bit. So looking in this photograph, the red building that you see on the right is on the Sports Authority's property and is part of the stadium. That's the powerhouse. The metal structure that currently does not have any roof or walls on it, that is a portion of that shed building. The property line splits exactly in the middle between those steel columns on the right and the red masonry building that you see, and so that's where that splits. The team has a lease from the property owner is it Pipe or Perimeter Properties? It's Pipe. From Pipe Properties, there's two different names on different portions of the property. So the team has a lease from Pipe Properties in order to operate the team store in that location. It is considered part of the team's their overall operations, and there is just by way of reminder for everyone, that was something that was identified and reviewed, and there is one of the closing documents that was provided was from the Tennessee Department of Revenue Commissioner that stated that even though it's not on the stadium property, sales tax from sales in the store itself can go towards this project, so they can be recovered to be used towards those bond proceeds. But it would be in that section right there. Ultimately, that does get some additional enclosure. Whenever it's all finished right now, those
Yeah.
portions are off, so that modular can slide into the end of the building at that point in time.
Okay. So that shed, is that something that's a pipe property and New City may develop? Okay.
Yes, yes.
That's what I thought.
Yes, all of the shed building, both that portion as well as the vast majority of it is all out off this picture.
Right.
But
It's the huge building that shoots off from it. You see it from
Yes.
the interstate
that's right.
as well as from the side road going past the stadium.
That's correct. That's currently owned by Pipe, and their phasing of the development will
Okay.
ultimately incorporate all of that. That's correct.
Thank you.
Certainly.
Well, the progress is impressive. You've done a great job, and any other questions?
Work on getting that pitch.
What's
First
that?
pitch. Work on getting that first pitch for us.
That's right. I'll be sure and pass that along. I will say before I step away, I couldn't do it without my team. I know Clay Oliver is here with me. He does a tremendous job, as well as Jeff Spiva, who is contracted to be our owner's representative as well, along with all the folks on with both the property owner and the team. There's a lot of people that are moving to make this happen, from our design team to our contractors. So I just get to be the one fortunate enough to stand up here and show you the pretty pictures and tell you about the updates. So,
No doubt.
thank you all.
Thanks, Bill. All right, happy holidays. See you January 8th.
All right.